This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California. Recall Governor Newsom. Call 39 LLC, BGB Ranch. This is your five-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Orrin Heatley and Maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, our virtual restaurant where it's always about California politics. And the main entree is a recall of our Governor Gavin Newsom. It's an exciting and special show tonight. We've got our main cook, Orrin Heatley, back. Orrin, say hello.
I am right here with you folks. Happy to be here on this beautiful Friday night.
It is. You know why it's a beautiful Friday night, Orrin?
Absolutely.
Because we've got the recall on the ballot. I'm also really happy, Orrin. You know, you weren't here last week. I had to bring in some extra help. And I brought in tonight, of course, Eric Early. Eric, what have we now declared you?
I don't know. I was the dishwasher 2 weeks ago.
But now you're the sous chef.
I love that. Okay, thank you.
And that has an implication to it for those of you that know what Eric does for a living. But
I run a great law firm, so that's why you're calling me the sous chef. That's a brilliant title, Mike Netter.
Well, you thought it up. I like
okay.
it.
I was giving you the credit for it, man.
Damn it. And because of my bad comedy, we've gotten a lot of complaints, Netter, your quips aren't up to par. You know, you're bringing us in, you're sitting at the table, the jokes aren't going so well. We've brought in tonight a very special guest who is the forefather of all comedy you've ever seen on television. Okay, maybe not. But Kent, introduce yourself.
Hey, Kent, it's great to be with you guys here.
Wow, what a voice. Kent, tell us a little bit, for those of out there who don't know who you are, besides the fact you know Eric and myself, a little bit about your lineage, which is actually very special.
It's kind of my claim to fame is you and Eric Early. You guys picked me up on a off ramp out here. I said we'll work to do radio, and you guys you brought me in.
Actually, you were a hobo on a train I was on.
That's true too.
You were sitting on a couple of hay bales in the back car, and somehow we became friends.
Actually,
the
sous master the sous chef took my stick and little bag, a handkerchief bag, and I had to fight him for it. It became one of those hobo fights on YouTube. We became famous on YouTube, hobo fighting on a train with Boxcar Willie.
You know, that's a good question, or maybe you can answer that because you're actually the youngest of the crowd. But when did we stop using the term hobo? Because weren't hobos the original term for homeless, which is a problem in California?
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. And you just gave me some homework because I like, one of my hobbies is to look up the metaphor that's used in English language. And, you know, that's one that I'm not familiar with. I do know the term hobo.
Yeah, it's funny.
But
when I was a kid,
I think it comes from homeless boys, but I don't know for sure. I have to look that up.
Well, we used to call them homeless. We used to call them hobos. We used to call them homeless. We used to call them hobos. We used to call them gypsies. Now we call them homeless. The scoreboard is we have so many people today, we don't even have a good metaphor for them, I guess.
That is so yesterday, Mike. We can't call them homeless anymore. They are home challenged. You know that they're shelter challenged.
Yes. I've been hearing that spread into the language now too, Orrin. It's crazy.
Is that actually true?
I've seen that. I've seen it. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. How far California has come under Gavin Newsom.
Yes, isn't it amazing?
It's just like we have citizen challenge flooding across our southern border.
And which leads us kind of into the theme of tonight's restaurant, if you will, or a theme of tonight's show. We're going to have the mayor of Yorba Linda on after the half-hour break. And, of course, the state of California under Gavin Newsom is trying to solve a lot of problems we have in its usual inept way, which is no way at all. We're going to talk a little bit about the housing density bills, which are coming into play, and get your arms around this for a second. I want to put this a little bit in perspective for everybody, and we want you to call in tonight to talk about this at 1-800-222-5222. But before we get there again, I want you to understand what the Democrats and Gavin are trying to do in the state of California. Let me put this in perspective for you. Most of you right now, or many of you out there, live in an average single family dwelling because you've chosen to. God bless you. Some of you in apartment buildings. The bills which are now being proposed are going to force cities, counties, and townships to put up to 20 residences per acre. And to understand what that means, 20 residences per acre means that each resident with the yard around it would be a little over 2,000 square feet. The minimum lot size right now, even in the most dense areas you see for a single family dwelling, are about 4,000 square feet. Let's put that in perspective. If Gavin has his way and turns us into a New York City type environment, think of how COVID would have spread throughout California, like it spread in New York. Gavin stated when he came into office that one of his goals was to make us a high density state. You can look it up. Oren, you want to comment on that?
Of course, I'm just dealing with some technical difficulties here. And yeah, you know what? Gavin's goal is to turn all of our communities into high density housing.
Listen, let me tell you something. If this is the bill that I think it is, there's an out and out communist up in the what I call the Politburo up there. His name is Scott Wiener. What is he, an assemblyman or a state senator up there, Mike?
State senator.
Okay. I believe he sponsored this bill, and as I understand it, they want to be able to change the zoning in town so that, for example, if you live in a suburb, or you live on a nice street and you got nice single family homes on it, this guy wants to be able to change it so that they could take down the single family home next to you and put up a 10-story apartment building. They want to change the zoning. They want to take suburbia as we know it and turn every place into just a whatever name you can come up with. And it's a travesty. And but again, they have a super majority of these communists up there now, and we're witnessing what could possibly happen because of this.
And these issues get fairly deep and complex. And Ken, I know you only spend part of your time in California, right? You tend to live in Tennessee much of the
split my
time?
time pretty much equally between here and Tennessee. And I love California. I moved out here in the 90s, started two amazing businesses, great businesses. And it's gotten so difficult to operate here in California that we literally just by necessity have to be over there. Tennessee is a very well-run state. We're a pay-as-you-go state, great budget, great surpluses, an amazing General Assembly, what we call it a House of Representatives there, and a great Senate. And it's a shame that California, who should be running circles around every single state in this union, really, they should be. We have everything going for us here. We have the most beautiful state in the country and a state full of wonderful people. I think we've just been temporarily hijacked by bad leadership. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing here. You're not on here just bagging on Gavin Newsom. You're bagging on the condition of this state. And as it turns out, you take a look at his quote unquote leadership. Think about San Francisco. When we had offices up there in the late 90s and early 2000s, one of the most beautiful cities. It was always so much fun to go to. Gavin Newsom becomes mayor. What happened? Think about it. And again, and he failed upwards, and it got worse from the moment he got in there.
This is what they all do. Failing upwards is their biggest talent. It's Newsom's talent. It's his character Baccaria, also known as Javier Becerra. It's his Garcetti down here. It's the whole group of them. They keep Kamala Harris, perfect example.
Yep.
They're failures in everything they do, and they keep failing upwards, and that is a talent.
It's interesting. And before we even go back, I want something else. I'm putting kind of topics on the menu tonight for Oren to cook. I also want to cover EDD, and it's a little bit outside the scandal that we've been talking about here. The reason I'm putting these topics out there, when you call in tonight, Linda, we're going to get to you in a second, or we have our first guest. And you call in at 1-800-222-5222 tonight, I want you to talk about or tell us a single subject you think is really the most pressing in California now and in the future. Pick one, whether it's homelessness, taxes, or EDD, so we can get our arms around the things that we need to make sure when we do recall Gavin, thanks to Orrin Heatley and a whole team of volunteers out there, we can address. I want you to be aware of something, though. There's an article this week, as there is every week, I guess, in California in Cal Matters. And Gavin Newsom is out there throwing money around because he's going to save his regime by giving us lotteries with vaccines and all kinds of
Whose
things.
money is that he's throwing around like
Well,
this morning?
apparently it's not only there's our tax money,
Oh, yeah, it's
but
our
it's
money.
money we
Right.
owe the federal government.
That too.
Just to be aware of, this has been going on for years. Quote, I'm going to read because my memory's not that good. California is borrowing billions of dollars from the federal government to cover unemployment insurance benefits to jobless workers. But how it will be repaid will be uncertain. Now, this has been going on, by the way, for quite a while. We are expected by the end of the year to owe the federal government more than $24 billion, not just from this year, but from past years that, unless Congress forgives the debt, must be repaid with interest.
What was that money for, Mike?
Well, basically, Orrin, we borrow money from the federal government for our unemployment fund. Now, let's also not
Okay.
forget the $31 billion, which is magically vanished in fraud, or whatever that number is. Much of that is borrowed money. So we're in effect, the best way to put it, as Dan Walters puts at the end of the article, is we are borrowing against our credit card debt to repay our credit card debt at a high interest that we owe in future years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mike, can I just add on to that? There is
No, Orrin, I'm talking.
another.
No, of course you can't.
There's another $98 billion of unfunded pension liabilities that we owe. And on top of that, there's $1.3 to $2 trillion of unfunded bond debt liabilities.
Yep.
So if you add all that up,
Yep.
how the hell does this asshat go around selling the fact that he thinks we have a surplus, handing out money right and left on the streets, and just throwing our, money is flowing into this man's campaign to stop the recall.
Yep.
Because it's simple,
And he-
Orrin. It's
And
a
he is flushing our tax dollars down the drain.
Yep.
And that's got to stop.
I like the term ass wipe even better, Orrin. And
That's pretty cool.
and
though. Or is
that's
that
pretty
that's a
cool.
wholesome thing? Is he?
Yes, he is. But listen, this state is being run like one large Ponzi scheme, and we get money in today, and it goes out tomorrow to pay yesterday's debts. And his name really should be Gavin Madoff, and he's doing a heck of a job.
Because
Except he's
Gavin
doing a
Madoff
lot
was
better.
California.
Yeah. Except he's playing with he's taken and lost a lot more money than Madoff did, who got life in prison.
Well, it's interesting. We'll get back to that in 1 second, but the bottom line is this. One of the reasons the people want to take back our state is because it's about politics. It's not about the people, and it's time we took our state back. That's why the people of California need to recall Gavin Newsom and get some balance back here. We are going to go to break, but before we do, remember, it's Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC 790, all the way from the international border to Oregon. Contribute. Recall Gavin2020.com.
You don't understand, we're not like other creatures. Rules do not apply to us, we are the leaders. Voters can't be trusted to be indoor eaters. They are more contagious after all, they're mouth breathers. KABC, dependable.
All right, to the 5 people that are listening to the after show or the mid game while we're on commercial. I just want to
I'm
thank
unable to
everybody
hear
that's
Mr.
joined
Heatley in the
us.
background.
And Tim, thank you so much for helping bring this to the web.
Orrin, I'm not able to hear you.
Well, dang.
May be involved.
I'm not muted. Hold on.
Okay, now I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, well, that was on your end, not mine.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Susan, how you doing out there?
I'm good. Happy, but not happy to be back.
Well, yeah, when did you guys get back?
About 2:33.
So you've had a long damn day packing up your camp and hauling the family back home and unpacking and then scrambling around to get ready to do this whole mess again.
So only reason I came back.
Oh my goodness. You know what? California owes you a debt of gratitude.
Oh, right. I have a lot to do, but we met some campers and she had several sites reserved and had at least one family member that wasn't coming and offered the site. And they had for another week. But yeah, I had things to do.
Well, and this was kind of a shakedown cruise for you guys, you and your new RV doing and you had no hookups. So you guys were going out kind of bear camping, right?
Yep, boondocking, and we've learned a lot. I can run both air conditioners and whatever else. But if you turn the refrigerator on, electric, boom.
An appetizer.
Generator.
Oh, we're back on air, guys.
The French Laundry with executive.
We're getting there.
And Mater D.
Oh, that's good to hear, Susan. I'm envious. I want to go camping myself.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, our restaurant where the cuisine's always about California politics. Listen, I want to remind everybody out there, if you want to see a really scary face, which is mine, or see some good-looking ones, which are Kent, Eric, and Orm, we do this on Facebook Live now as we blend cuisines, and we're finally going to get where you can watch the radio show, which might seem a little strange, but let's face it, we don't want you watching Netflix. Because Reed Hastings contributed $3 million to Gavin's campaign, which is why I told everybody out there, whatever you pay for Netflix per month, cancel it and contribute half to Recall Gavin 2020.com. But Oren, half. Well, Oren, they got to save money somewhere to pay off this EDD debt I just talked about. Because remember, what I neglected to say before the break is understand that the unemployment debt is paid off through your unemployment surcharge, which comes out of your paycheck and also comes out mainly out of small businesses. So when Kent, for example, leaves the state, okay, he doesn't pay it off, but the small business people do. Gentlemen, before you comment, I'm being a bad maitre d'. I've got people backed up at the door, and I'd like to go next to Linda from Burbank, who wants to talk about if Feinstein resigns. Linda, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Early this morning, I heard, what's his name? Oh, God.
That's okay. I'm going.
When the name comes, I'll mention it. Oh, yeah, I heard that Democrats are trying to get Feinstein to resign. And if Feinstein, Rick Renell, that's Rick Renell. I heard this early this morning. He was on Glenn Beck, and he was saying that the Democrats are trying to get Feinstein to resign. Now, if Feinstein resigns, he says, Newsom is going to appoint himself for U.S. Senator to avoid the recall.
It's a possibility.
And so,
go ahead.
And everybody needs to tell Feinstein not to resign.
Well, I'm going to say a funny story before I toss this to Orrin for comment. When Newsom first came on The View acknowledging the recall, this was actually, to me, pretty funny. He said, when Feinstein resigns or leaves office because she's getting kind of up there in age, this is what he said. And by the way, the guys, Orrin and Mike in the recall, they're right-wing guys, or all this, that, and the other. And if Feinstein resigns, I'm going to appoint a such and such a kind of senator. The funny thing was, apparently, never talked to Feinstein about that because she was rather surprised at those comments the next day and came out and said, I'm not resigning. So it's a possibility, But I don't think that's going to happen because Dianne Feinstein, this is her last term. She's rather surprised by that. Lauren, why don't you weigh in on that subject?
You know what? It's a plausible point, but I think her name is Christine Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's daughter came out and said that that was an absurd statement that Gavin Newsom had made, and that they don't want anybody forcing Dianne Feinstein out of office in order to save their own career. And if Gavin were to do that, I would say that he would be a damaged politician. That's going to be viewed as cowardice and tucking his tail and running when he's embattled. Let the best man win. Let the California voters have a decision, and let them decide who is the best leader going forward as we move into the special election. But Mike, I think Peggy from Yorba Buena is going to call in, or has been called. Is she not on?
No, she's actually calling in at about 7:30. We're going to give her a call.
Okay,
there.
very good,
Okay?
very good.
Or all
Linda
managed
from
people
Burbank,
come in
God
there.
bless you, and
We'll
thanks
tell
for
you
your
when to
call.
cook it.
The other thing, hello?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that I heard that Shirley Weber is going to make all the ballots mail-in ballots. And you guys have to find a way to stop the mail-in ballot and make it just absentee.
Well, you know what, Linda? Before we let Eric checks you out, even though he's the sous chef, he'll talk a little bit because he's one of the plaintiffs on the Election Integrity Project fighting against that. Linda, thank you very, very much for calling in. We'll hope to see you. Eric, talk a little bit about, in 30 seconds or so, that election integrity lawsuit. We've talked about it before.
Well, it's a great lawsuit. The lead plaintiff is Election Integrity Project of California, with several former congressional candidates, me being one of them, as plaintiffs as well, suing the various authorities in the state of California, not to redo the last election, but to try and make sure the terrible things that happened in the last election, a lot of it having to do with this outrageous universal mail-in balloting, the failure to properly check signatures, this computer insanity, to do whatever can be done to make sure it doesn't happen in future elections in this state.
That's right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to let somebody jump in line here. We'll get to these other people staying here because, Oren, we have David from West Hills calling in. Remember, tonight's subject before we let David on is tell us the things you think really needs to be the most pressing issue that needs to be solved in California. And call in and we'll get you on the air at 1-800-222-5222. But in deference to our main person that cooked up the recall, Oren, David from West Hills has the origination of hobos. David, welcome to the air.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So hoboys are men who wanted to work but couldn't work. So after the Civil War, there was so much unemployment that these guys would walk around with their hoes or rakes or shovels on their shoulders. So you might remember old cartoons. You have a guy with a pole and his sack lunch tied to it. Those were hoboys. They had their hoes. They were demonstrating that they're ready to work. I don't think this is an appropriate term for people who are living in tents, living on unemployment, and not really wanting to work.
That's a really good point. Oren, weigh in on that.
Very good point.
I will weigh in on that, and thank you so much. You know what? So much of the metaphor in our language today is exactly the opposite of what it was intended to mean. Like when you talk about, you're pulling my leg. We all know what that comes from. It's kind of a joking term. Hey, it's stop pulling my leg. Well, it's actually a very morbid reference to the gallows, where the executioner would allow the family and friends of the person to be executed would go up on the gallows and pull the legs of their loved ones and hasten the process. So that's exactly the opposite of what the metaphor was intended for. And I know that's a dark turn that we took. And, the term threshold means where you have thresh that was put under the door to prevent the dirt and grime from coming into the house, but they put a board across the thresh to hold it in place. That's where the term threshold comes from.
Interesting. You know what? I'm going to roll this one to Kent, our special guest in the restaurant tonight. Because Kent, I want you to tell me, as a comedy expert, how we went from somebody with a hoe who wanted to work to pulling someone's legs on the gallows. That's a lead-in for you. What
I
can
had
we
no
do with
idea
that?
we were talking about hose pulling legs tonight, Mike. I had no clue about that.
Whoa,
We got a couple-
whoa.
That was Mike. That was your partner, Oren. That was your partner.
David,
I got
thank
a
you.
song in honor of all
David,
this.
thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
Okay?
David.
Appreciate it.
Jungle fire was burning. Down the track came a hiking. And he said, boys, I'm
That you
not
playing?
turning.
Eric Early.
Okay,
Rap
before I
master
lose
Eric
control
Early.
here, remember, we
Big
want your
Rock Candy
California
Mountain by Harry
grievance.
McClintock, that song. Go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry,
gonna
Mike.
I'm gonna roll next before I lose control, which I actually did the day Orange sucked me in to do this. And to Darcy from Shasta Lake, who wants to give her California grievance. Darcy, how are you doing?
Sorry to disappoint you, the guy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Not-
okay. Well, okay, I don't know if it's off topic, but my grievance is a law that I just found out about. It's complete overreach on the government. And that is for well owners in the whole state, or I don't think it's just Shasta County, but I think it's the whole state. If you have 4 or more people on a well, you have to bring it up to some sort of governmental standards. And it's like the 4 people that are on this well, we've been on this well since the 70s. And it's like the only thing that saved us is that one of the people put in their own well. So we were able to, the guy that came out to inspect the house, which would have had to turn us in if that guy if one of our neighbors hadn't put in their own well.
Hey, Darcy,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop you 1 second here because we're running a little bit out of time, but I think you're talking about water wells, right?
Exactly. yeah.
Okay, before I have to roll the break here, I'm going to say this. That is an excellent topic, as water itself as another grievance for California. My friend, thank you so much for calling in. You actually brought up a point I didn't bring up on the air tonight. So thank you. We're going to have to roll the break. We're going to Mayor of Yorba Linda next. Peggy, who's going to talk a little bit about real estate, which has a lot to do with, Darcy, what you just talked about, because there isn't enough water and infrastructure to support all these people that we want to put on all this acreage. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Get ready. Hold it right now. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC, all the way from the international border up to Oregon and beaming around the country. Contribute. Recall Gavin2020.com.
It's important to follow
1-800-222-5222. Hi, folks, on the commercial show. How are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Tim,
I'm
can
doing
you
pretty
hear me?
good. Doing pretty good, Warren.
So how many people we got in? Does anybody have any questions or any comments to
President Mary Martinez this morning. The ring security footage was
Susan's muted.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Susan. She's got there you go.
6 now.
6, and you went to Zephyr Cove, I see. That's awesome.
No,
I've
we
been there, camped there.
Scott's Flat, right out
Are
of
you going?
City.
What's that?
We went to Scott's Flat,
Oh, right.
which is like 5 miles. Well, it's actually 10 miles outside Nevada City. It's close.
It's just nice to have the campgrounds open once again so we can go and camp. I mean, during my hunting season last year, Gavin shut down all of the national forest, and we couldn't even access the national forest that it should be open to the public all the time, anytime. And I mean, the likelihood of me contracting the virus out in the national forest, I don't know.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Not at all. Nope. A lot of what he's done hasn't made sense. So of the 5 people that are on the call, this is an opportunity to ask questions of myself and Susan and Tim, interact with the panelists. We can send messages over to Mike and the crew that are there in studio, but we want to get your feedback, want to get your input, and whether or not this is format that people enjoy, or they're going to want to watch in the future. Crickets.
Okay, so I see
I
somebody
hear
saying
crickets.
Steve is enjoying the format.
And Steve, where is Steve from? Can we unmute people during the commercial break at all?
Okay,
Okay, we're going.
KABC, dependable traffic right now. 101 freeway northbound at Cahuenga Boulevard.
What's that?
Earlier crash.
So
Highway
we
Patrol
can
says
allow them
right
all
side
to
of the
talk.
freeway is
All I hear is the radio station right now.
just enough starting to clear the damaged vehicles, but northbound 101, it's extra. tough.
One of the guys in the station have their
Little bumper to bumper in spots. from
have their
the 4-level
phones on or something. And all I can hear is them.
Freeway southbound at the
Read the chats. I'm sending you a chat message.
start of the transition road there with traffic really heavy.
Make
Actually-
that bell ring. I don't have the bell with me. It's upstairs. I can find something to ring, but I can't go run up and grab it right now.
Taking your car.
And Steve is from Morgan Hill. Welcome to the format, Steve. God bless.
Actually, I believe I know Steve.
All right, very good.
I'm glad you're able to join us, Steve.
And we can allow attendees to talk during the next session. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to, if they have questions or whatever during the next session, feel free, raise your hand. Susan and or Tim will unmute you so we can interact.
No, you'll pay the same you would at a local shop. There's no fee for coming to your house. And
So I think this is one of the longer commercial breaks because it's at the bottom of the hour, but
easier. If you get a free quote,
excellent.
flat home car
I'm looking forward to coming down to Los Angeles on the 7th, and we're going to be down there the 7th, 8th, 9th, and then back. But somebody put up a
EIO.
YouTube. You want me to click on that YouTube right now?
To the media buffoon, corporate titan, and big business bow tie wearing elitist slobs who hate American freedom right now.
I'm clicking on it. I hope I don't lose my connection here.
Susan. Oh, we're back.
Tactical zoom lens.
Friday night at the French
Skip
Laundry.
ads.
On the menu tonight, a better California with executive chef Orrin Heatley and maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant all about California politics.
Hopefully
if
I'm
you're
still
on hold,
on.
stay on hold. If you're not on hold, get on hold at 1-800-222-5222 to talk about what needs to be improved in California. Listen, Orrin, come out of the kitchen. Introduce our guest tonight, who's the mayor of Yorba Linda, who has some important stuff to discuss with us.
Peggy, God bless you, and thank you so much for coming on to talk with us about some important things that are facing our cities, our municipalities, our counties up and down the state. There is a power grab, a land grab, and a tax grab going on, and the state is trying to take over power from local municipalities. Am I not mistaken?
Well, thank you very much, Orrin and Mike, for having me on. You are absolutely right. The legislature and the governor are in cahoots to take away local government power to do what's right for the very people they represent, and having a total control in Sacramento.
And let's discuss a little bit of that, because as you may or may not know, Peggy, I'm a licensed real estate agent. Not that I'm pushing it, but if you want to sell your house, I'm your guy.
He's not very good at it.
Yeah, but go, because Orrin has to be tied up in politics all the time. But I think it's important to note a couple things here that aren't really addressed in these bills. And I want to tell you what you, as a mayor of a city, a great city, by the way, I used to work over there. I don't quite understand how they're going to create these high densities, by the way, with union labor much of the time. But how are they going to fix the problem with more sewers needed, more schools, more infrastructure? It's one thing in concept to talk about this, but how would Yorba Linda literally handle if you say your city doubled in size in the same area?
They can't. It's not doable. This is, the governor and the state created this number, 3.3 million, that's unsupported by data. We don't need 3.3 million new homes. We actually have 1.2 million homes in surplus right now. And so to say we need to build 3.3 million affordable housing, we can't, not here. It's very hard to do so without that infrastructure. And unfortunately, the city cannot use infrastructure as a reason of not being able to build what they call the RHNA number. And RHNA number stands for Regional Housing Needs Assessment numbers. And those are the housing units that cities must build in the affordable range. We can't do it. Infrastructure can't support it, but yet the state is saying, you have to do it, and we're taking away all your powers.
Yeah, that one of those specific bills is SB 9, which I was reading tonight, and it's, I think draconian is almost the right term. It's like it's hard for you to turn down somebody building ADUs in their backyards, and they can pretty much move out of town once they build them. Is that correct?
Correct. And, you know, a couple of years ago, the state passed an ADU bill to address affordable housing shortage and housing shortage in general. But instead of waiting for those units come online, Senator Wiener from San Francisco, with the help of Governor Newsom, basically said, if it's single family home there, we're going to split it. You can split the lot. You can build 4 to 6 units with the ADUs, and no parking requirements can be imposed on the developer. And so what that means is you can have 4 to 6 units on previously 1 unit, and all the cars will be on the street, and you cannot deny that project because of lack of sewage, water, for any reason.
Go ahead. Sorry, Mike. Hey, this is Ken. First of all, you run a wonderful city, a beautiful city. And I wanted to just toss in real quick. My father led his city council in Southern Illinois in his little town. And it's in Illinois, very, very well-run city in a horribly run state. Illinois is just a less sexy version of California. That's all it is. And let me tell you, these mayors that ran their cities, like you run yours, these mayors from back there, what they did is they just held their ground. You know, they held their ground. If the state laid out these crazy unfunded mandates, they just held their ground, and they did the right thing. And they said, look, state, if you want to come in, you want to make me do something, try. But right now we're holding our ground. And I congratulate you on running a great city and encourage you to do just that. Hold your ground.
We certainly are. A group of us, elected officials across the state, representing many small to medium-sized cities like mine, we get gathered together to form the California Alliance of Local Electeds to fight back the state on these draconian measures. We're trying to protect our town. We're trying to protect our residents, preserve the quality of life. We are very cognizant of our duty to try to help those in need find affordable housing. We want to address the homeless problems, but one size fits all does not work. Let
Listen,
us do what we can.
I think we should move as many of the homeless into Gavin Newsom's neighborhood. Okay, he's living in a very high-priced neighborhood. Actually, rumors are that he didn't even buy that house with his own money. You know, his house is separated from the next house by a huge portion of property. And let's start talking about moving them up there rather than destroying everybody's neighborhoods in the state of California. But, you know, sort of more seriously, Peggy, have you and the other mayors from around the state considered legal action to stop this from destroying each of your towns?
Well, since these bills are just going through, technically without it being the law, you don't have a live controversy. So there's nothing to quote unquote sue on. I know that the Orange County Council of Government has issued a press release stating that they are going to sue the state over these arena allocations, but I have not heard where they are in that legal process.
Well,
but that,
I think, listen, nobody, you know, people like to avoid lawsuits for all the obvious reasons. The cities are cash strapped to begin with, but when enough cities band together, if this becomes a law, And unfortunately, given the makeup of the Politburo up there and who Newsom is, it probably will become a law. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a righteous way to stop this in court.
Well, we're definitely looking at all options. There is a bill carried by Assemblywoman Lori Davies from Laguna Niguel. It's Assembly Bill 617, what is to allow cities to sue the state directly over what we call the RENA plans. Unfortunately, Senator and the Senate and the Assembly Speaker, the Democrats, have basically held that bill hostage because they don't want to be accountable. Because that bill is all about transparency and accountability, and they don't want us to have that ability to sue them specifically over RENA. So it's going to continue to be a fight. There's no check and balance. Your listeners need to understand that the governor is basically a dictator at this point because he's ensuring that there's no check and balance in this country. Our Constitution is based on check and balance.
And Peggy, this is Oren talking, and God bless you, and thank you for joining the call. I have a couple of questions and some points. What you said is absolutely correct. There are no checks and balances, but what you're talking about is something that is embraced across the aisle from all political spectrums, right? I mean, everybody. You and I both talk with Democrat mayors and people that are looking out for their own communities, that have an obligation at home, that see this as an executive overreach and abuse of executive power from the governor and this Sacramento. And you guys want to maintain and retain your local leadership and not be influenced by the state takeover, right?
Yes, and thank you so much for making that point. Our coalition is a bipartisan coalition. In fact, I call it nonpartisan. I don't even know which side of the aisle members of our group belong to, but we have one common thread and goal, and that is local control. And the best form of government is the one that's closest to you, and that would be your city council and your county supervisor. And so we have in our coalition just city council members and mayors from all across the political spectrum, and all of us agree that the state is out of control under Governor Newsom's direction.
Peggy, would you mind sticking around for another segment? Because I got a few more questions I'd like to ask you. Do you mind? Thanks.
Sure.
We're going to roll the break here. We're going to get to the people on hold pretty soon, but I've got some important questions why we have an important person on the phone here. So start rolling it, my friend, because I'm going to say it. We want you to call in at 1-800-222-5222. We want you to donate to recallgavin2020.com because keep us on the air. Friday nights at the French Laundry, everywhere around California. Stay tuned.
How could I forget that I had Bandolindo gatherings just a
So checking on the chat with the Facebook, I have Angela from, I believe, San Joaquin. She stated that a community in San Joaquin County just added hundreds of homeless, or hundreds of homes actually, but no added police, no extra firemen, no separate sewage, water, electric gridding. It's overcrowding.
And Angela, I was going to read your comment on air, but I got crowded out like usually happens. But Angela has been with the recall from day one and during the Aaron Cruz recall. So she is an OG, as we like to call him. So Angela, God bless. Yeah, this is a problem going up and down our state, and there's a land grab going on, and we're trying to help this mayor and other mayors maintain control of their local jurisdictions. So as we go forward, I'm hoping that I'll be able to add your comment in. But Angela, you can always call into 1-800-222-5222 and comment on the air and make, interact with the people that we're talking with. So I would encourage you to do that. And then
I have made it so that at least all attendees here can talk if they like.
oh, very good. All right. Speak up, folks. Hello, Oren. You need to bring the radio show small business owners who are affected by Gavin lockdowns, also victims of the criminals that he's releasing back onto the streets. I need to bring the radio show small business owners. I need more information from that Mayad Al-Marar.
Oh, we're back on.
Friday night at the French Laundry.
Okay, very good. Give me some more information and I'll follow up with that, my friend. God bless.
Welcome back, everybody, to our restaurant where it's all about California politics. Heidi, Magdalena, Pierre, we will get to you. Stand in line, but we're going to talk to Mayor Peggy again here because I've got a question for you on a kind of the same topic, but slightly different. You still there?
Yes, I am.
Here's my other question. And I think this gets lost a lot of the time as we recall Gavin. So they're talking about converting commercial shopping centers and doing all this work, which the cities, of course, would lose the sales tax revenue. And we don't want anybody in business, but that's a story for another day, as I like to say. But they always throw in the prevailing wage thing, which means the unions always make sure that they get their way in all these. And how does the city of Yorba Linda feel about losing control of all your commercial property?
Well, definitely. And Yorba Linda and all the cities are always concerned about losing commercial properties where they do generate sales tax revenue. Sales tax revenue is the second highest source of revenue for all cities in California. So it is a concern. There are some properties out there that have pretty much sat empty. And so it's a balance, right? So that is something where we're trying to work together as cities with our state representative on how do you balance between active commercial sites and inactive commercial sites that maybe should be repurposed for other uses. And it's a delicate balance. And again, it goes back to local control. Let the cities figure that out. Don't do it at the state level.
Mm-hmm. Let the cities figure that out. That is, it goes back to the roots of everything we're doing. You guys know the what you want in your hometown. You guys have, the environment, the culture that you want to promote, and the businesses or the residential areas that you want to keep for those purposes. So God bless. Can I ask one thing? There's been a lot of controversy over Gavin Newsom's use of his gas tax funds, not his gas tax funds, our gas tax funds. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that he had come out early on to make claim was that he was not going to allow any of those gas tax funds to be spent, and he was going to hold those monies hostage for cities, municipalities that did not adhere to the state low-income housing requirement. Is that true, or is that just an urban myth?
He did threaten to do that last year, or maybe the year before. All my days are blurred because of the pandemic shutdown. But he did threaten to do that. The city fought back, and it was not pursued further. Does that mean he won't bring it back? No, most likely he will, because what he has done now is he has moved toward the direction that he wants 3.3 million affordable units built in mostly urban areas already fenced. And to make that happen, he will punish you if you don't meet that number, and gas tax is one of them. Methods that
And
he will probably use.
he's not only coming after the house next door, he's actually coming after the open spaces and parks that cities have. He had a survey done last year to determine how much open space there was available to be built upon in these urban areas. And those are the properties that he's attacking now. Those open spaces are most valuable to our cities, and they actually help, the people that live there thrive, because it gives, a little room to spread your wings and to go out and enjoy yourselves with the families at the parks. And, there's some wildlife areas that are open spaces and things like that. And he wants high density housing put in all of these areas, and I just think that's unconscionable.
And let me just jump in there, Orrin. This whole issue of affordable housing, what the Politburo and Newsom, the chief tyrant, keep purposely ignoring, is that the cost of housing is unaffordable in this state because of the regulatory structure in this state. It costs $600,000 to build the same unit in this state that it costs $100,000 to build in almost every other state in the country. The regulatory structure is what needs to be changed, but that's the same structure that is filling the pockets of every special interest group that keeps the Newsoms in power.
Get roll in on that.
You got it. Peggy, you're the mayor of Yorba Linda, a terrific city, a very well-run city. I've got a question for you. When the governor and the highly ineffective state legislature piles these crazy regulations on you, I know, as a mayor, you literally, it's got to impact your city budget, and you guys operate on a pretty thin margin. Do they offer any kind of compensation for that, or you just have to make do with what it is?
So we make do with what we could do, because every time they write these legislations, you'll go back, and they are specifically for housing. They said because it's a housing crisis, the state will have control over it. Oh, and by the way, there's no state mandate money. So it becomes unfunded. We have to be the one coming up with the money.
And Peggy, that was my question. I want everyone listening, I want you to think about this. If you're living in a well-run city, and there are a lot of great well-run cities here in this beautiful state of California, if you're living in that city, it's costing you a fortune just in your city budget when the governor and the legislature throws these things down. And they're not things you see in the news all the time, but these are things that great mayors like Peggy and other terrific mayors around here have to put up with. And this is affecting your wallet. That's why this recall is so important.
And let's understand something too, Peggy, and we kind of glazed over that that Eric just touched on a few minutes ago. This prevailing wage, that's basically the unions make sure, which is one reason they support Gavin all the time, they get in for everybody should get a fair wage. No one is denying that. But the fact that everything has to be union scalability that we build is actually forcing our cost of new housing to go through the roof because it's so expensive to live in California. Doesn't it seem like an endless cycle for the people of Yorba Linda?
Yes, it is. And people need to understand that when you have to pay the prevailing wage, it can drive any projects up in cost 3 to 5 times, depending on what type of project that is.
Yep. And the people controlling
that is so much.
And the people controlling how much that wage should be are the ones dropping millions and millions on keeping the people in power elected in this state. Is such an unholy alliance.
It is. And by the way, prevailing wage is something we all know because we're politically active. Let's explain for the listeners exactly what prevailing wage is. What it is, and I, again, with my father having, ran that city council back in Illinois, I'm going to give you a real world example. And Peggy puts up with this, and so do the other great mayors in California. Prevailing wage back there, let's say a house was condemned and the city had to take it over and the city had to tear it down. These are real numbers, by the way. The city would do that. And this is a little town with a $7 million budget. It's not nearly as big as yours, Peggy. They would actually have to pay the same wage or the same amount that it would cost in Chicago. A typical house would cost $5,000 there to tear down and put grass on it and get back to a regular lot. They went from $5,000 to $50,000. It's a little town with a $7 million budget. What happens is the towns can't afford to do it, and the towns become dilapidated. And with Peggy, you could take your budget and stretch it so far and do so many great things for the people of your community if you didn't have to put up with this nonsense. And folks in these cities, think about this. Think about how it affects you.
Peggy, before the prevailing powers that be make us go to our 8 o'clock break, if you will, anything you want to add about, I mean, there's so many, literally, I looked up tonight and I've looked up previously about probably 8 different bills out there. What do you want people to do to act on this besides get educated and recall Gavin Newsom?
Well, join us in fighting back the state, take back the control. The people need to understand that their liberties are being taken away, their property rights are being taken away. They need to come together and help city council members and mayors like me to take control back for the people and bring back the constitutional check and balance that our forefather put in the Constitution. It's our very much our liberties at stake here.
Oren.
Peggy, can I ask, is there a website or some way people can contact you guys if they want to?
Definitely, they can go to our website, California Alliance of Local Electeds, as well as they can contact me directly at the city. I am here to serve the public and everyone here in the state of California, in my city, and as well, or you can contact me directly at peggy@peggyhuang.com. Anyway, I can be of service to members of the public. Be happy to do so.
Thank you so much for your service. We're going to go ahead and keep it moving here. Hey, thank you so much for calling in tonight. Remember, 1-800-222-5222. We're backed up 5 callers. We'll talk to you at 8:05. Friday nights at the French Laundry. KABC.
Our only agenda is giving you.
Get it right. Susan, Tim,
Yeah, I'm here.
is there anybody out there?
So folks that are listening, you can call in at 1-800-222-5222.
522. So I'm seeing now, Ellen, Keith, there is an M, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing Moyad Al Mar. Where is your post? Mayad?
And your chat message.
Yeah. Feel free to unmute and let me know what you're trying to explain, because I think you have a good point, but I need more information before I can comment on it. Mona Sprague, you're out there. Stella is online. Stella, you're always welcome. God bless. Thank you so much for joining us. And Steve. So good group. As we go, so we've had more people. This is kind of, we're in the trial phases of getting this thing up and running, trying to determine whether or not this is a viable medium for the French Laundry Show and maximize it, because I think that we can reach a national audience doing what we're doing and bring this kind of information to a Who muted me?
Not I.
I did, because we were getting double speak.
Oh, because somebody else had their speakers on and it was looping from me to you or Tim and then going back around.
Yeah.
We have to mute all of the others.
Everyone's muted. It's gotta be.
Am I still double speak?
You're doing double speak. Do you not hear this, Tim?
I hear it fine just on my side.
Okay, it's
below 80.
Everyone is muted.
Currently 69 degrees in Placenta.
Well, I'm muted on the radio show right now, and this is the only place that I have.
Okay, I muted you and I can hear one of you if I mute you.
KEDC. Traffic is
Well, Kent's not muted. I don't think it's him though.
No, Kent's audio is disconnected.
Yeah, now I'm hearing me back. What's going on, Tim?
I'm not certain.
Something wrong.
Mute yourself and then see if that changes. So folks, what I was explaining is that we're still playing with this. We're still trying to figure out if this is a viable medium for us and whether or not this will work or not. But am I still echoing, Susan? No? Okay. One finger for yes, two fingers for no.
No, Warren, this is Keith. You're okay. Susan was breaking up a little bit on my end. Tim was okay. You were okay, but I think it might have been on Susan's end.
Excellent. So hey Keith, what do you guys think about the venue? I mean, we have a good following for the town hall. This is something new that we're experimenting with, and whether or not we go forward with it or not, I don't know.
It's Friday night at the French.
And I'm going to have to jump back on the show for a minute.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back to our second hour of Friday Nights at the French Laundry, where the virtual cuisine is about California politics, and the main entree that Oren cooked up is always about the recall of Gavin Newsom. If you missed the first hour, too bad for you. You missed the mayor of Yorba Linda. You missed us talking about a lot of things that are wrong with California, and you missed us asking you to call in. I'm going to tell you again at 1-800-222-5222. For people like me, I'm going to repeat it. That's 1-800-222-5222 to tell us what you think is wrong with California. And I've been not a very good maitre d' because we have people backed up right now, and I'm going to roll to a couple of them. Magdalena, I'm going to get to you in 1 second because you're special, but I want to get to Pierre from San Jose who wants to organize a rally for the ballot. Talk to me.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, that's good because we're on the radio. Welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. May I get you a table and talk about your subject?
Yes, we're going to talk about preparatory work on how to ensure this special election, how we can fully maximize the volume of people to go out there and vote to recall and vote to replace, or recall to replace. I'm friends with Tim and Chris from San Jose or Santa Clara County.
Absolutely.
I met Mike Netter one time back in Sacramento, and I've met Oren 2 times. He came over and dropped off burgers at my recall booth when I was in Sacramento. So,
you know you're talking to Mike Netter now, right?
Yes, hi, Mike.
Hi. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just letting you know that because don't say anything bad about me because I'll actually hear it.
Oh, Mike, you're awesome. I remember seeing you on One American News, and I was like, this guy's awesome.
Boy, I'll make sure his Eric, on the way out the door, his meal's free. so let's talk.
Well, Pierre, I'll get you a nice French meal.
So talk about how you want to organize a rally for the ballot, if you will. That's what it says on my little screen.
So I just got together with a bunch of previous former volunteers that were volunteering during the petition collecting days, those hard petition collecting days from last year in those hot summers. Things have slowed down a little bit. People aren't as active as they were when they were collecting petitions. And so we did a little gathering recently, and we wanted to really discuss how can we go out there and get those same people active again, but this time it's pushing forward to influence the normies on how we can vote to recall and recall to replace.
Wow, your call's
basically-
really well placed. I'm going to tell you why. We just got in this week and contacted you. And if you know Tim and you know Chris and all those folks, and for everybody out there, and thank you, Pierre, for bringing me back to the white light. What we've got is we're looking for right now to keep funding for merchandise. And we ask for funding all the time. Here's what we do. We've got merchandise like this. If you were on camera, you'd see this right now on our Facebook groups. And trifolds that we just brought in. We just brought in about 10,000 of them. We want to get funding for 100,000 of them. We've got new bumper stickers coming, etc., to get volunteers, Pierre, back in booths to start firing up again. Not that the public isn't fired up now, to keep getting the word out that we need to recall and replace. So we've got a lot of merchandise in now that we just got in, and we're almost out, that we're distributing to everywhere to make sure we get the word out. Go ahead, Ken.
Right, yeah, got it.
That was you. When
That
I go
was
like
me.
that and point at you, Ken, even though it's radio,
It is
that
me.
means you're on the
All
air.
right. Hey, Pierre, how are you, buddy? Listen, Mike, you're talking about funding, and you guys, I listen to you guys on the radio every Friday night, and it's amazing. But you don't toot your own horn, so I'm going to do that for you guys. I've watched a year and a half ago, people were talking about how do they recall this idiot. I mean, that's just a few months into his thing, and people talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, and some of these blowhard political consultants out there were saying it would cost $50 million just to get the signatures and blah, 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 blah. I've watched you and Orrin take this thing and run with it. For less than $1 million, you guys have done this with small donations, a lot of small donations, and a lot of people like me that are doing this. And we have to keep this thing going. The whole thing is for naught if we don't get 50% plus one check marks in yes. So, Pierre, your question was, what do we do to keep helping? Everybody,
rallies.
The money,
Rallies, yes.
the rallies are there, but I encourage you to send these guys great, some good donations. And again, I've never seen anyone. Well, Eric Early's very great with his campaign money. I've never seen anyone manage a campaign like you guys have done it. Orrin and Mike, absolutely amazing. So I would encourage that.
Oh, I wanted to ask another question. So we were thinking as a group of volunteers, we were thinking of doing like a statewide rally or something like that.
Wow, what a great idea.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea. Yeah, just statewide, one day set at that time of day, and all of us just go out there and make some noise with the recall. How about that?
Absolutely. I think that's a
Yep.
fantastic idea. And before, Pierre, get in touch. If you know Tim, you know how to get a hold of us, and let's get that scheduled. I think that's a fantastic idea. My friend, thank you very much for calling. Run a little short on time, and I'm backed up at the door. Appreciate you and all you do, because remember, if we don't recall Gavin, and I want to be clear to Kent here, a bunch of people are going to move to Tennessee, and you don't want me as your neighbor, Kent.
People having run the comedy networks for years, people say, tell me a joke. Tell me your favorite joke. Here's my favorite joke for the last 6 months. Did you hear about the family from Nashville who packed up all their things and moved to California? Nope. Nor will you, as long as you've got this governor and that legislature. So we got to recall this governor. And by the way, as you know, I'm a member of the Republican Governors Association. Those guys are all members of the full Governors Association. Gavin Newsom is a joke amongst the other governors.
As he should
Everyone,
be.
and he is.
I'd like to say
he's a
something also.
punchline.
It's very important, and unfortunately, not a lot of people in California know this. We have the legislature up there. I call it the Politburo because it is effectively one-party rule. There's a supermajority of Democrats up there, which means that notwithstanding the great Republican legislators we have up there, the numbers are terrible. So anything a Democrat wants passed, they can get passed. Republicans can't stop it. For all you great Californians out there, regardless of your party, the assembly people that you vote for on election day, the state assembly people and the state senators, I'm not talking about the two national senators, the state senators, these people are incredibly important, and we just need more people with an R behind their name in that state legislature. If for nothing else, than to again have, more than one party rule up there. And I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, whatever. We all want fairness in government. We're living in a one-party state. So those assembly people, those senators, Start voting for some people with R's next to their name just to bring balance, if nothing else.
Hit it, Kent. And again, the way you guys have done this recall is amazing. Eric talks about, voting for people with R's by their names, but this recall is made up of people, our great brothers and sisters who are really smart, moderate Democrats who have said we've had enough. They're common sense people. These are amazing people. Again, Republicans in this room, but this is a California thing. This is not a Republican Democrat thing. And there are a lot of amazing Democrats out there.
One party rule is never any good. Just give a call to your buddy in downtown North Korea and see how it's working out.
Let's talk about this for a minute. I'm not talking about electing folks to support Gavin Newsom. I'm talking about the Democrats who have been kind enough and good enough to cross over and support Recall Gavin 2020. There are a lot of Democrats,
but none of those folks are the ones in our Politburo.
No, that Politburo needs to be gone. Oh, by the way, so real quick, those folks, Eric, are establishment hacks. They're not Democrats. The Democrats don't even like those guys. Those are establishment hacks with the E by their name.
Let's go a little bit further left. This guy Weiner, for example, as I said at the beginning of the show, is an out-and-out communist. He should be going down the block and joining his local communist club.
Okay. And that guy is not representative of the good Democrats in this state.
Speaking of which, I want to bring in somebody from San Francisco because I cut her short last week. It's my only groupie. I don't want it's our only groupie. It's Magdalena from San Francisco. How are you doing? Wait a minute. I want to tell everybody I'm very proud of you. You are graduating with your degree in journalism. Isn't that correct?
I'll be graduating next semester in my broadcasting degree. Next semester, I'll be finished.
And tell us about what you do every week for the Recall tirelessly out of San Francisco, which everybody thinks of as a liberal bastion, but it's not quite true, is it, Magdalena?
No, what I have developed, thanks to all you, is Magdalena Recall Radio. And I just talked to Tim. Hi, Tim. Last night, and he gave me the recording. There are all these recordings about recalls. So when you go to Magdalena Recall Radio, all the recordings of recalls, Brian at the French Laundry, Randy Recall Radio, Wildstar was involved with the recalls. So anybody's done anything with the recalls on there. And I put it together, and you go to the Magdalena Recall Radio, just look it up on the Google, and there I am. And I also gave you the information too. Hey, that's that. But I just want to say I'm glad you went to San Francisco because Gavin sucked as a mayor. I say this every week. He sucked.
Well, thanks for kicking him out and making him governor. That really helped me out.
I didn't make him governor. I didn't vote for the idiot. Yeah, we're living in zombie land. And you know what's really weird? What is this about the lottery with Gavin Newsom? I mean, where did we get the money from? What's this lottery with this is like what?
Magdalena. Hey, you had somebody that you wanted to mention last time. I think her name was Linda that we didn't give enough press time to. Is that right or not?
What name was her name?
Well, you had somebody that was working
Rhea?
on the project. Yeah, probably somebody like that.
She's a transgender lady who I'm helping with right now. She's going to run for Congress against Pelosi next term. I think her name is Rhea.
No, that's Bianca.
No, she's thinking of there's someone else too, right? So,
I can't remember.
And by the way, Oren, I want to remind you because you're absent-minded and I love you, brother. You won on last week's show. You won on last week's show. That was 2 weeks ago.
All right.
Okay.
I love you too, Oren, by the way. That's enough to you.
Back when they were hobos.
I just wanted to give Magdalena the airtime that she deserves. That's all.
Mike, and you're handsome regardless, and so are you, Oren. Whether I see you or not, whether you like it or not, you're both very handsome men.
Well, at least we know you have eye problems there, Magdalena.
On that note, Magdalena, thank you very much. Remember, Magdalena Radio replays everything. It's worth listening to us over and over. She thinks so.
No.
Look, Oren, I got to get all the plugs I got here, okay? Listen, I'm going to say
all right.
Before we go to break, Gavin, if you're listening, whether you like it or not, the recall's on the ballot. It is Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC, streaming all over the country, even to Tennessee, all the way from the international border, Oregon. Contribute. We need the money. recallgavin2020.com.
Like other creatures, rules do not apply to us. We are the leaders. Voters can't be trusted to be indoor eaters. They are more contagious after all. They're mouth breathers.
KABC Dependable Traffic. Right now, 710 Freeway South under Florence Avenue.
All right, folks. So I had a good opportunity to talk to Pierre yesterday, actually. So I will be contacting our lovely Robin, one of our executives, and
Yeah,
going further with that and seeing that.
there you go. Rock and roll on that note. So I did see, and I don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like Moyad,
Of a bumper in the car.
I think. I see that. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Caution if you're heading that
We
way.
do need to have small business owners on. We do need to have the victims from crimes on our radio show, and we have. So we've had and Angela Marsden on. We've had Topo Padilla on, and Angela is a small business owner, and she represented a lot of people that were shut down on the show. And then we had Topo Padilla, who's representing the crime victims of California and the people that have been re-victimized in California because of what this governor has done. So my message is, if you miss a show, you miss a lot. We've had people on to represent both of those venues, and we're going to have them on again. We're going to have more on as we go forward, but it's just important. You know, there's a lot going on. This is fluid, it's evolving, and we have a lot that we're working on. And I'm watching Mike doing his gestures and all that good stuff.
All right.
You should, unmute and join us.
At least twice as good.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
The Dan Bongino Show, live.
Yes.
Mornings 9 to noon on
We'll be going on in a second.
KABC.
What's that? Yeah.
We had an appetizer. This is your Friday night.
I'm also looking at
Executive Chef Oren Heatley and Mayor
M says it's a good venue. That's great.
Well, welcome back to our virtual restaurant where the cuisine's always California politics. And I'm just going to give you another reason right now why we need to keep the main entree, the recall of Gavin Newsom. This just in, and some of you out there go, I haven't heard this, because hopefully you've been listening to our radio show. But Newsom says he
You muted me ahead of me muting myself. I can talk over Mike all I want, damn it.
15th. Now, there's
This is my show. I have
71,907
the
views
after
on
show.
Instagram so far. And those people, frankly, they listen to our radio
Kidding,
show.
not
I hope
kidding.
they are. But let me tell you what this really means is this. And I said about this before. Newsom asked in February for a year's extension of his emergency procurement powers. For those of you out there, you've heard me rant and rave about this continuously. As we fight the left, the state Senate, putting these regulations that we've talked about, our own governor of California continues to put forth our autocratic rule. He has unlimited purchasing power to award contracts to his biggest donors anytime he wants. He wants that to continue for a year. But I want to continue with some callers right now. Heidi from Fresno, you've been on call hold for quite a long time. You want to know if we can impeach the governor if the recall fails. Heidi, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Heidi.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for the link. I got it out there. I got tagged on Twitter. So I don't think this person is going to call in. So I'm going to do it for them. They said Newsom is a monster. Impeach Newsom. Don't waste time and money on a recall. So many crimes. Get rid of the SOB forever. Start the paperwork. So what is the process if the recall failed? Is there an option to go forward for impeachment?
Oren, I see you shaking your head. Heidi, first off, an impeachment, to let you know, has to be started by a legislature or a Senate or proof, which is really hard to do. That Gavin committed a crime. Oren, you will go ahead and weigh in on that because unfortunately in California, the recall was pretty much your only recourse. Oren, weigh in from the kitchen.
And you're absolutely right, Mike. That's why I was shaking my head. This is kind of our last roll of the dice, folks. All bets are on the table, and this is it. This is a do or die moment for California.
That's right.
And you know, you folks have an opportunity right now to participate in this recall, make it happen. Bring the resources to bear down on this governor. He has unlimited resources, and they have opened their war chest against our team to recall him. And I don't know what Mike is waving he's flapping his wings, but
Oren,
it's Kent. It's Kent. I want to let Kent talk.
The folks on the radio can't see what I'm seeing right now, but if you want to see what I'm seeing right now, you can absolutely tune in. And you can watch the radio show live, and we'll tell you how to do that if you want to watch what's going on. But what I'm saying is that you know what, this is a do or die moment for California, and it's here and now.
And by the way, Oren, I want to throw in real quickly why
Yes,
this
sir.
is so important. And I want people, you know, I've actually heard people say he's done a great job because they don't know. I've heard it. I hear it. I'm here in Los Angeles, and you hear people, and I ask to stop. And of course, I know they're misguided, and I can talk them out of he's done a great job in about 2 seconds. But here's all you have to do. If somebody's going, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm not passionate about it, I don't think I'm going to show up for the recall and vote. Let me tell you something. All you have to do is look around you. And if you know somebody that's undecided, ask them these questions. Look around. I mean, do all the homeless people, is that normal? Is that something you like? Is that something you think is well managed? No, there's no way it is. Look at the high taxes. We've got the highest taxes in the country, the trash on the streets, the condition of the state highways and the state managed streets. We have, this is no kidding. A lot of people don't realize we have actual poop maps, P-O-O-P.
Yeah, that's
true. Maps started in San Francisco when he was up there. And it's because they're issued in San Francisco and Los Angeles because there's poop and needles on the street. Go to the internet, look it up. It's a public service. If you think this is okay, don't show up. I mean, you know, vote to keep it. But if you think that's not good, and it's not good, and the crime too, there's so many things. Look at the gas prices. If you think that's normal and good, then I don't know what planet you're living on. I get it. If you don't think it's normal and good, and you think we need to catch up with the other states, take our beautiful state back to good management, you need to show up for the recall. You really do. I love this state. This state has given me so much. So
Let
I'm
me
here.
just talk about something that Mike had raised, which is incredibly important, which I guess is a late breaking story about how you said that even if the state's going to open up on June 15th, and oh, by the way, our state could open up with safety measures in place months and months ago. Tens of thousands of businesses would have been saved. All Newsom could have done was follow Florida and Texas and learn a lesson. But let me say something. As far as the state of emergency, Newsom keeping his emergency powers alive after the state opened on June 15th he makes Al Capone look like a kindergartner, okay? He has the power, therefore, to keep issuing, for example, no bid contracts where the state normally requires bidding. Who knows what kind of money is flowing all over the place? It starts with our taxpayer money, and he spends it, and it starts coming back to him and his favorites all along the way. This is a terrible thing if he keeps those powers. And one of the major problems in the state right now is we have an attorney general who is a stooge. He was appointed by Gavin Newsom. The attorney general should be investigating this kind of stuff, protecting all of this stuff, prosecuting if necessary. He has been put in there by Newsom to just protect Newsom's butt. And that's a crime in and of itself. I'm telling you something, the next attorney general in the state hopefully will be a Republican and will go after all of this stuff.
It has to be. Go ahead, Ken. And Eric, we've got to expound on your point, and I'm so glad you brought it up. These no bid contracts. That means that the governor's buddies, the people who donate tons and tons of money to him, get these favors back. A lot of big tech executives. Hold on a minute. a lot of big tech executives, a lot of big contractors all over the state.
And whose
do
money
this
is
with
it,
no
Kent?
bid. It's
Kent,
our money.
it's our
It's our
money.
But folks, I
It's
want you to
why are
do
our
this.
taxes through the roof?
Yes.
It is our money that this pampered Ken doll, arrogant SOB is spending up there to feather his own nest, to stay in power over and over again. And people are getting pissed.
Yeah, and listen, I don't care
I
if
know
you're
I am.
Republican, Democrat, whatever. Just follow the money. Look at who would finance this kind of mayhem. Who would finance a poorly run state with poop maps and homeless people and trash everywhere? Who would do that? No one would.
And Heidi, to
You're right,
roll
Mike.
back to what you said there before I let you go, and thank you so much for all you do. I know I'm in contact with you about the recall. If we had an attorney general that would stand up to the governor, that wasn't in his pocket,
Yep.
that wasn't moving out, a stooge, that wasn't Xavier Barcera, who's on his way to Washington, that wasn't Rob Bonta, that was appointed, we could do something about it. But I want to quote Heidi. So Heidi, thank you for calling. Before we continue to roll here, I want to quote from this article, KTLA 5. I got you. It says this. Quote from Newsom, the disease has not been extinguished, such as Gavinets. It's not vanquished. It's not taking the summer months off, Newsom said Friday. After drawing the names of the first 15 vaccinated people, this is almost a comedy show in itself, to win $50,000 in a campaign to boost the inoculation rate across the state. Here's the serious part. The emergency order gives the governor broad authority to issue, alter, or suspend state laws and regulations. Republicans in the state Senate have tried repeatedly to pass concurrent resolution to end the state of emergency, but Democrats in the majority have blocked their efforts. It's time we took our state back. Recall Gavin Newsom Friday nights at the French Laundry. KABC everywhere. Remember, keep the drive alive to tribute. Recall Gavin2020.com.
Just caught me. You let them catch you? I don't know how I let this happen. Wait, where? The place next door, you know? Wait, I thought you ordered all the restaurants to close, man. I don't know what to do. Just say it wasn't you. All right.
AM 790.
Hey, ABC News.
Lauren, do you see your chat screen? It says from,
District of California has just ruled that
it's- at the very bottom, it says to.
that is unconstitutional.
Hola, what?
On your chat screen, open your
Yep.
chat screen, look at the bottom. It says to. Mine, so it would show Susan.
Mine says close and pop out.
No, on the bottom of the chat.
The very bottom.
I'm looking at the very bottom.
So look underneath Susan's message and you'll see it. It'll say
It
two. And then,
says direct message, type here.
yeah, so you want to actually click on the little arrow and change it to all panelists or panelists and attendees.
There you go. Very good. Very good.
So my apologies to all the commercial break panelists. When the show starts, we got to go. And the only one staying on is Lauren.
So I have it on all panelists. So I'm going to put it on all panelists and attendees.
Correct.
There you go. All right. Hello, folks.
There it is.
There we go.
There you go.
Nice. Hey, Steve, I just want to let you know, I really appreciated your input. I read the whole, your whole feedback, and you're absolutely right. And I also, Mike,
Mike,
God,
you going swimming?
he's swimming.
Yeah, I see. What
I also saw Ellen's suggestion that we do some overpass rallies. I love the overpass rallies, and we are going to have some big badass banners printed up and spread out throughout the state so we can do that. And it's going to be, is there somebody named Kevin Kiley that's running yet? No, there's not. Never mind. We'll talk about that later.
All right, we're going to end in a moment here.
All right.
Personnel as they work to get this out.
Rock on, folks. God bless everybody. Thank you for joining the after show or the inner show.
And
What
don't
do we
forget
call
to
this?
donate. Oh, this is the intermission show.
Intermission. Thank you for joining the intermission. The intermission.
Freeway interchange in Montebello.
I love it.
And don't forget to donate to recallgavin2020.com.
All 6 of us.
Or I will play that song, Warren. All right.
All right, folks. Back on.
The main entree, the recall of Gavin Newsom. Friday nights at 7 p.m. on 790 KABC Talk Radio.
Sponsored by California Patriot Coalition.
2020 was a challenging year, but things are looking up, including the stock market's performance. But will it last? Hi, I'm Ken Morae, Senior Advisor at Retirement Planners of America. If you are 50 or older, call us today to schedule a free consultation to learn more about our Invest and Protect strategy that is designed to help.
Actually, it
mitigate the
appears
risk
like we have a few more seconds here.
Call us today at 800-375-1159 to schedule your free assessment. That's 800-375-1159.
What the hell? We stopped the intermission for this? Damn it.
I don't know. Mike's off cue right now.
Yeah.
Or is Mike off?
No, Mike's on cue. He's on cue.
There are some questions in the question and answer screen.
Tim.
Yes.
As Mike puts his finger. Hold on. Okay, scrolling down.
Of course, you may need to hit rewind once or twice. KABC.com.
Awesome. I don't know who posted that.
All right, Susan, don't forget to go on mute.
On the menu tonight, a better
Rock and roll.
California
Ellen,
with Executive
I
Chef
know
Warren
people have
Beatley
flags.
and Mater D. Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, where we're down to about 30 minutes on tonight's show. Now, I know that Warren, sometimes he's talking, he doesn't cook that well. So some of you ran off during the break to get a snack because you weren't being fed very well. And if you've been listening to the news break, it comes on all the time, you would have heard that. A federal judge has overruled California's 3-decade-old ban on assault weapons, ruling it violates the constitutional right to bear arms. Now, this isn't a comment on the right to bear arms. This is simply a comment that what you see happening all the time in the state of California, like we just talked about before the break, where Gavin Newsom says, I'm going to continue the state of emergency. He doesn't talk in French voice, but he did go to the French Laundry, right? I'm going to go and keep the emergency powers in my favor so I can do what I want. And challenges people to go to court for years and see if they can do something about it. This is another reason we need to stop the direction of California.
Well, let me
government.
just flesh that out a little bit, Mike. This is Eric speaking, and this just came over the wires.
That, Eric.
This just came over the wires a few minutes ago. That's what you're talking about. U.S. District Judge Roger Benitez of San Diego ruled Friday. That's today.
Saint Benitez. That is.
Yes, he is a saint. Actually, I agree with that, Warren.
Yep.
That the
And
state.
no, everybody out there that agrees with the Second Amendment knows him as
Well,
Saint Benitez.
and this is why. This is the ruling today that the state. He ruled that the state's definition of illegal military-style rifles unlawfully deprives law-abiding Californians of weapons commonly allowed in most other states. This guy's amazing. And, if you support the Second Amendment, like I know I do, I know Orrin does, Mike probably, Kent, I know you do. This is a hugely important ruling, and we still get them in this day and age.
I absolutely support it because I need you guys to protect me on the way out the door.
Let me also tell you something that's interesting here. We have a sheriff here in Los Angeles County who has taken on this governor and taken on this ridiculous legislature.
Alex Villanueva.
Yeah, and this guy, Orrin, you're a retired sheriff. This guy is a rock star, and I heard him the other day talking about the Second Amendment rights. And you know that he is the first sheriff since it's been quite some time that they're starting to issue a whole lot of carry permits.
He is going to pump them out because people are in danger and they need to be able to protect themselves. And Alex, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. And we have invited him to the show. I have his phone number. We're going to be talking to him again. I hope to have him on soon. But I believe Alex is a registered Democrat.
He is. That's right. He is. But he's one of the good, like we talked about earlier. There are many great Democrats in this state, and they're the ones lining up to get rid of this governor and to dump this legislature. And most of those legislators that call themselves Democrats, like Eric said, those are commies. Those are not Democrats. The good Democrats that I know want nothing to do with them, and they want nothing to do with this governor. They've had enough.
And you're absolutely right. And to your point, the people that we've talked to that are out on the street working this recall, the Republicans knew what they were getting when he took office. There was no surprise. But it's the Democrats that I talk to on a daily basis, day in and day out, who are truly disturbed by what this governor is doing. They're the ones that are most upset. They're the ones that are fighting the hardest to get him removed. And I have lifelong Democrats, Bernie-crats, who voted for this governor, who want their vote back.
Well, they didn't know any better. They did not know any better. They didn't know.
No.
And, you know,
listen, they have a sense of abandonment and betrayal by this governor because they did not sign up for this agenda that he's pushing forward.
And Orrin, you and Mike, when you guys did this recall, you did it. There are no parties in this recall. This recall is the great people of this great state. And this state, I said it before, this state is filled with amazing people. And in this recall effort, in our effort to take back this state, we don't see Republicans or Democrats. We see our brothers and sisters, our fellow Californians who want to bring our state back to its glory. And this is a wonderful state.
I want you to think about something here and put everything together, what we're talking about, why we talk about this being California's last stand. Start to put the components together. And by the way, the rich people, can you say Reed Hastings? Can you say Gavin Newsom, who live in these big gated estates, by the way, protected by assault rifles? Let's put that down for a second. I want you to think of what we've talked about and put it together tonight. The rich Democrats, the rich people are asking every neighborhood to become high density. But wait, there's more. In addition, they want not to prosecute people that break into houses because those are merely petty crimes. In addition,
but not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Not in my backyard.
In addition, they want to have 77,000 or 72,000 prisoners released from jail and take away any right to defend ourselves. Now, I want you to picture for a second, if all this takes place, as that we're talking about rapidly over the next 12 to 24 months, we're talking here, what we have. We have high density housing, very little law and order, people without jobs because there's frankly no malls for them to go to get jobs or places to work. How do you think that's really going to turn out, California?
Well, and how do you think it's going to turn out for you, the listener, the voter? Just think about what's in it for you. How is it going to turn out for you? Is it going to be a plus or a minus for your life and lifestyle?
Listen, one of the great conundrums of our what is ruling us these days, not only here but also in Washington, D.C., the vast majority of Californians, I don't care, we're not talking party, we're just talking the vast majority of Californians of all races, creeds, and colors do not support the garbage that's coming out of this Politburo and out of Newsom's office. And so the conundrum is how do those characters keep getting elected? And frankly, I put a lot of the blame on the people that are getting the information to the voters, to the electorate. And to me, that's the mainstream media. And they are not telling the voters who the voters are actually voting for and what these people, if they get elected, what they're going to do. So we end up in this crazy situation where the vast majority of great Californians who are totally against what's coming out of Sacramento are voting in the people that are sending this garbage right back at us.
You know what? I'm going to give you one quick answer for that. One of them is that no one steps up and runs. Eric, you did it, but no one steps up and runs. And a lot of people have given up in these state legislative races.
It's more than that, Ken. Somehow we've got to get past this blanket of information that is completely controlled by the information givers out there, the social media, controllers, the mainstream media controllers. We've got to get the entire story to the people. If we can do that, I trust the great people of California, America. let the people make up their own mind, but they got to get all the information. Right now, they're not. It's
But
not
let's-
good.
And to your point, let's think about this. We want to follow the money again. Who donates to Gavin Newsom? Who is it? Who does he protect? It's protection money.
Silicon
Well,
Valley
there it is.
rulers,
Thank you, Eric.
Union fat cats.
That's
This clown Reed Hastings that Mike keeps talking about, who's a billionaire who owns Netflix, and on and on and
So
on.
who is paying protection money? It's those guys, and why else would they donate to Gavin Newsom? They see the homeless people here. They see the crime. They see our gas taxes being the highest. They see our income
because they
taxes.
hide in their little enclaves
Right.
with their private police departments.
But why
et
would they
cetera, et cetera.
donate? It's protection money. That's it.
And that's another reason I'm going to say out there, we're driven by the people and we need donation money to keep this going. The family or the couple that owns Fuji Water, the guy that owns Netflix or a big chunk of it are contributing to Gavin. So not so facetiously, if you're sitting home later tonight after listening to the show, or go look at Nextdoor. If you're living in let me try another way. If in the future you're living in high density housing and could see your neighbor, and you see your neighbor is watching Netflix, drinking Fuji water, you know what got you into this hole, okay? We need to keep this drive alive. We need to take back our state. I'm going to roll to Susie from Big Bear right now, who wants to talk to Eric, I think, about the mail-in ballot here, because we're backing up at the door. Susie, how are you doing? Welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry.
Hi, this is Susie from Big Bear. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good now because I'm talking to you, and you've got an election integrity expert in studio with us, which is Eric Early. Did you want to stop the mail-in?
Cool. Listen, I have solutions, and I need to talk to you offline, and I could tell you a little bit about it. It's www.restoremyrepublic.com.
Susie, this is Eric. That's what I think you should do. And I mean, Mike is very kind to call me an expert in that. I'm not an expert in election integrity, although I am part of the
That's why I had
lawsuit.
you on the show.
Well, I had to get in the door
Get him
somehow.
out of
But Susie, the Election Integrity Project of California is who you should contact. Go to their website, contact them. Linda Payne, for example, she's very easily accessible. I'm sure you can get her contact information from that website. Talk to her about what you have in mind. She really is an election integrity expert.
And Susie, before we have to roll, I want to say something else. You're right about the mail-in ballots. Are you listening to me? Okay. Do you know that there's already a lawsuit against them with election integrity, right?
They're going against California Constitution and the U.S. Constitution.
No
And
doubt.
I think all of these people should be put on notice with affidavits. I'm not kidding around.
God bless you and love you for doing it. Listen, you can also go to our website at recallgavin2020.com, go to info, drop our name, and send me the data that you want to, and we can have that offline conversation, okay? Thank you very much. Fair enough? Thanks, Susie. Okay, I'm going to do it. The last time tonight is, ready? It's Friday nights at the French Laundry. Remember, we call Gavin2020.com. We need your money to stay on the air. KABC 790 all over California and streaming around the country.
It's important to follow all the law. How any violation might kill a grandma. Why you do what you want, even pardon in laws. Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras? Donate it.
ABC dependable traffic right now, 101 freeway southbound just before the 4-level interchange. Conked out car right now.
All right, folks.
Looks like now clearing out of the way. Took a little bit of time.
Mona says, bravo, we need to jail Gavin ASAP. Well, I'm not sure if we're going to jail him right away or not, but, you know, it might happen. But there's Oren. Oren is gone again. Who said Oren's gone again?
Ah, that was me because you keep going off camera.
Well, yeah, I've got to take care of things behind the scenes.
This is true. Yes. I want to give a big shout out to Susan here. I really appreciate you sticking in throughout this whole show. I know you're exhausted and
Yes, she is.
And, you know, blessings, Susan. Many, many thanks.
Camping is a lot of work.
Oh, I know.
But it's well worth it, and we should
Yeah.
never put camping around this call.
Right.
You know what? I am so jealous that you got to go camping. I haven't been camping in 2 years.
We're going to Zephyr Cove in August. Come with us.
Deal.
I think
There are also some really great camping spots going up.
Oh, we're getting a queue.
Patrick's Point, and I'm muted, so we're good. Patrick's Point, Richardson's Grove, going up into the Redwoods, Elk
Yes.
Creek.
We're going to Hat Creek.
I love Hat Creek. Yes,
Yeah.
awesome.
I've been there in a long time. So come with us.
We may have to do a camping special.
We should. On Hat Creek, we're going to be right on the river.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, and don't take your dogs down to the river when you're out there.
An appetizer.
All right, folks.
This is your Friday night at the French
The green
Buffet
mug.
with head chef Owen Steve
I'll
and
tell ya.
WD Mike Netter.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant. Listen, we've got about 12 minutes, 4 guests, and 1 last caller. A lot to pack in. So, Oren, your last meal you're cooking tonight is for Angela from San Joaquin. It says on the screen that you asked her to call. Hi, Angela.
Yeah, bring her
Angela.
in. I did ask her to call. She had a good point for Peggy when Peggy was talking about the housing requirements and things like that. But bring Angela on. Angela has been with the recall from day one, and she has been a champion of what we're doing even before we began this during the Aaron Cruz campaign. So God bless Angela. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
We can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, this project was really interesting to me because here in my county, we have several obstacles with our housing. With the EPA regulations that Gavin actually signed, he basically put a moratorium on the EPA standards. So if they want to build like a homeless facility on top of an old gas station property, they don't have to come into compliance. But right around the corner, right where I'm at in town, they have new housing developments coming in, hundreds of homes coming in. There's no new officers being put on the beach at the cost of the developers. There's no new schools being added. The schools that exist are being overcrowded. We have no new fire department or firemen. And amidst the whole defund the police a year ago right now, we started having explosions. We had looting, we had robberies, we had home break-ins, which, pressured me into finally embracing the Second Amendment myself. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, unless you want to be like Joe Biden and embrace sniffing your neighbor, it's really just become a total disaster because it's completely crowding our infrastructure. They all have the same electrical grid system, the same sewage line, the same water supply. Everything is just overcrowding. When there's a power outage, everybody's now going out instead of small sections. And so, with the incoming heat wave, they're saying they're going to shut down potential power plants. And I see an incoming disaster. And I see no accountability. And with an assembly that's highly democratic that wants to advocate for responsibility, I'm a little bit more concerned with how do we remove them because they don't want to do their job and they still want to honestly take that.
It's amazing when you think about it, right? The basic job of government, I said this before, is infrastructure. And our government in California isn't supplying it. They want to rush, Angela, right? The recall election. Before, again, we have no power, our water supply is in trouble, right? We have fires every year in the state, and our roads aren't getting repaired. I'm a little confused. And by the way, they're not really protecting our environment, Angela, right? Angela. So what exactly is our government doing in our favor, right?
Well, and that's the thing is that I've talked to several people that I'm close with and various colleagues and whatnot across the nation. And I've got people from coast to coast
that are saying, we're really worried about you all there in California, because if California goes, there's really no hope for the rest of us. Like, you guys, I don't know what you guys are going to do, but, keep fighting. And several of them are saying, God bless you all with a recall. You guys have really done the work that needs to be done. And I'm telling you, it's been hard work. I've got medical disabilities. I've got limitations. My business has been hurt. And I could say there's a million obstacles that's been put in my way, and I pushed forward because I said this is the future I want for my kids, and I can't afford to buy a house here anymore. If I'm like anybody else, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. So when I talk to anybody, it's, honey, I'm in the same boat as you.
Well, thank you very much for calling. Thank you for everything you've done for the recall. And this is another story of someone fighting for the state of California. And for everybody out there, if you're just saying, hey, what's about this recall? Let me tell you something. Angela, Oren, myself, a lot of people here, we've been doing this for a year and a half, okay? We've been pushing
Angela, Mike.
Angela. Well, I'm horrible at names. I tried. It took me 4 years to
I
learn
know.
that. Okay. I only know Eric and Kent because they're
when we get John Voight's number, at least if you can remember that man's name, someday maybe John Voight pay us.
It's a running joke with us. Everybody's got John Voight's number. It's somebody who actually has John Voight's number, which I know is everybody. We've been talking for a long time about John Voight actually contacting the recall. Now,
where's Waldo?
Yeah.
Has no one given you his number?
No.
Mike, after the show, I'm going to give you his cell phone number.
You do that.
I will do that. I promise.
Oh, we'll see how that goes. I think by the time I actually talk to John Voight, I don't remember his name. But Angela, thank you.
By the way, John's a great,
Angela, I'd love to see you run for school board or something out where you live there. You would be incredible.
Anyway.
And we need people like you with your brain and your way of speaking and your thinking to be on our school boards. Please think about doing
school
that.
boards, county board, city council,
School
anything.
board to
Angela,
me is
thank you.
Probably
Thank
the
you
most
very,
important
very
position
much.
in the country right now.
Listen,
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
few minutes we have left here, thank you very much.
God bless. Absolutely.
Okay. I want to roll through a couple things. Oren, you've got 2 minutes for your final rant from the kitchen tonight.
That is far more time than I need. I just want to give I am giving the floor to Kent. He is our guest speaker tonight. Kent, you have a powerful message and something to say to the nation, something to pump this group up and get them motivated to help get this thing in the right direction.
I got to tell you, one, it's an honor being here and watching what you guys have done with very little resources. I mean, no one said this could ever be done, ever. And you guys have done it. And this is one of the most important things that is going on in this country, because as goes California, goes the rest of the country. And this, like I said before, it's a great state with great people. We are just temporarily hijacked by extremely bad leadership. I want to encourage everybody, like I do, to write these guys a check. Join me tonight and write the Recall Gavin 2020 a check and support these guys. .com. RecallGavin2020.com. Write a check and support these guys. These guys are doing amazing work, and I love this beautiful state. I just want to be able to spend more time here and keep employing people here. Right now, we're moving people to Tennessee.
Eric, back to you. You've got 2 minutes to rant, my friend.
Well, Mr. Netter.
Actually, a minute and a half now.
Okay. I'm always so honored to be on your show. I've been honored to be the attorney for Recall Gavin 2020. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again because it needs to be repeated, Oren, Mike, Robin, Dan, thousands of incredible volunteers out there like Andrea, who we just heard, or Angela. And what you've done is first of all, you sent a shot across the bow in California. And that same shot went across the entire nation. And you have given millions of people in California and many millions more around the country hope that we can take back this state. And as Kent said, as California goes, so goes the nation. And it takes a rare breed of cat to be able to give people hope. But you've done it. I'm proud to know you. As I've gotten to know both you guys a lot more, I know how you do it. I know how you have done it. You guys are on the wings of angels here. I'm glad to be part of it. And the natives are restless and things are happening and the people of California are pissed off and you guys are the vessel through which this is all getting heard.
And I want to say too, for everybody out there, this journey has taken me and Orrin, everybody out there, amazing places, but it's the middle of a journey. To simply say now, hey, we got the recall on the ballot, that is amazing. That's historic. That's something we've done. We have made history, but we're not done and we can't be done. Everybody out there, go to recallgavin2020.com. Continue to volunteer. We have trifolds in this week. We continue to drive. We're here every week, everywhere we can, because we have to take back our state. And if you're listening around the country, I got news for you. As California goes, so does go the nation. We're 12% of the population. And let me tell you something, the politicians here do not care about the people. We the people do,
folks,
and we the people
you guys hear
have
me?
to take our state
Susan?
back, because if we don't
Tim?
do it, the politicians aren't. And we've proven that time and time again, that we the people can do something about it. But we have to continue to do this. We have to recall and replace Gavin Newsom.
Mike, I got to ask, how many total signatures were taken in on this thing? How many total signatures?
Over 2.1 million.
Okay, now I want you to think about that. That is 2.1 million of us, 2.1 million people who are a part of history. Their name
This is
goes
we
down.
the people in action.
That's right.
It's given everybody hope that
Yeah.
we can take our government back
Yep.
from these arrogant SOBs who think
Please
they can have the
join
job
us.
forever.
Join us and be a part of
Be a
history
part.
with
Next
the
week,
other
thank you
2.1
so
million
much
people.
tonight. Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC, recallgavin2020.com. It's your state, California. Take it back. See you next week.
Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras donated? Sir, we saw you at a party.
It wasn't me.
This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Number 1424.
Good show, folks.
Major
Good
funding
show,
from others
good
include
show,
Rescue
good
California.
show.
Recall Gavin Newsom. Call 39 LLC, BGB Ranch.
Mike, good show.
Yes, definitely. A lot of good feedback so far too on the social media as well as here in the chat.
All right. Well, very good. Very good. All right. God bless everybody. And Ellen, Stella, Keith, I see you guys are still logged on. Love you all. And you know what? We're doing it.
Yes, we are.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Good night. Hey,
Hey.
Susan.
Good night.
Sleep
Good
in the
night.
I slept in there. I'll have to tell you about all the horrendous things we had to go through for this trip.
All right, we're
Well, you know
still
what?
live, folks.
I'll tell you what, tomorrow or call me in 5 minutes and I want to hear about them.
Tomorrow.
All right, have
All
a
right,
good night,
sir.
folks.
Good night, Alan. Good night,
Night,
John Boy.
everyone.
Good night, Tim.
Good night, all.
Nice job.
Thank you. Good job, everyone.
God bless.
God bless.